Hey, Mike with No Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be doing a review on the Ultra VP 8.0 OLED edition, the ultimate virtual pinball experience, so let's get into it. Now we've got a ton to cover in today's video, but one thing I wanted to cover first off is really just explaining what a virtual pinball machine is. Now I think a lot of people have maybe not even heard of this concept before, but basically what it is it's a virtual system that mimics a real pinball table, but on top of that, it includes thousands of different pinball tables all in one machine. And so basically you'll have the screen here that mimics a pinball table, and this can be real life pinball tables, but there's also a bunch of different fan-made games where they actually build pinball tables from scratch. And then it also has computer screens that will mimic the back screen of the unit, also the scoring center here that will list things like high scores and how you're progressing through the game. And then it also has an optional screen at the top here that can play different clips. So for example, if it might be a movie themed game, it might show clips from the movie or a TV show, various things like that. And so again, I wanted to showcase basically how it functions. It is the setup of a real pinball machine, and it mimics that feel of playing pinball, but again, it's just more with a screen creating a virtual table. And so again, just like your standard pinball machines, you've got the plunger, and again, it can track that here, and you'll send the ball up. And then it also has different solenoids in there, which are basically little tiny speakers that will mimic the feel of a real pinball machine. And so you can feel the feedback, you can feel the ball moving around, all those different things that a regular pinball machine would have. And so it's really cool. And so again, playing here, one of my favorite tables, Ghostbusters, actually how I got the table themed as well. But again, it really mimics the real feeling of a pinball table, but just in a virtual fashion. Now, as I mentioned, this is a virtual machine. And so it does have the option to flip through all kinds of different tables. This has over 1,000 different tables on it. And so I've bookmarked a bunch of different games that are my favorites among the collection. But what's also cool, again, is it has real tables that are built out in this virtual theme. But then again, there's basically fan-made tables that don't actually exist in real life that you can play on this unit as well. And so here's an example of a Legend of Zelda title that I enjoy, one of my favorites on the system as well, where you can simply enter your coins and then start playing the table. And so it's really cool to see these fan-made tables in addition to real life tables that have been recreated in this virtual setting. So I think one of the big questions that a lot of people probably have when you look at these virtual pinball machines is, does it actually feel real? And for me, I've played pinball growing up. I haven't been, an extensive pinball connoisseur or anything like that where I have tables or anything like that. But at the same time, for someone that has been a casual player of pinball over the years and trying out a virtual version, to me, I would say it's like 95 to maybe 99% as real as playing real pinball. Certainly there's times or aspects on a table that you can tell is more 3D animation than, say, physical components. But outside of that, actually playing, I don't really notice that much of a difference. It has the shaker motors, it has the tilting aspect, it has the flippers that you press, the feedback from the solenoids. And so it's cool, it has this built-in tilt bob, a real one in there, so you can actually hit the unit and tilt the ball based on real life physics. And it actually can tilt the table if you're too aggressive with it, but that's just another element of that realism to the system. Again, some tables are more realistic than others, but there's all kinds of elements that make it feel more real as well. So one aspect here is actually a built-in fan. So there's some games that will actually blow air out at you. One of them is Twister, for example. It's a tornado-based game based on the movie. And so there's all kinds of air that will blow out here. Again, you've got the coin buttons, the start buttons, the fire button, the actual plunger that goes in and out. You've got a launch button, the real coin doors that can be functional. Again, it's got the simulated flashing lights like you see on the table. These background speakers, the lights on the top will flash and go off depending on the game. The screens are quite interactive and showcase a lot of real-time things that are happening. You can see the LED lights going off in the background here. That and just much more. And so for me, it's very realistic. And as I mentioned, it has real life tables, but also fan-made tables as well. And I feel like the physics work quite well in the games too. There's some additional types of games thrown in the mix as well. And so ice cold beer is one of my favorites from the arcades. And so it mimics that style. And so it's more than just pinball tables included, but it has these elements, which include the, again, real physics of moving the ball around. Again, I'm not very good at this, especially on camera, trying to play this live, but you get the idea where you try and move the ball around. And so that's cool that it has different games included like this that feel as close as you can get to playing in the arcade. And often games will have a more realistic version of the game. And so this example here is the Ghostbusters Stern limited edition version of the game. So you can see it has the realistic plunger here that moves in line with how I'm pulling it out. And again, it has that real feedback, which is cool. And again, this has more of a darker tone than one of the other virtual pinball tables, but just a lot of the elements here in the background look so realistic. It's almost hard to tell that it's a just screen. And so again, this version of the game has a very realistic looking, almost photo-like quality to it that looks so much like a real pinball table. It's hard to see that it's actually just a virtual table. And so that's just really cool. And so is it perfect? No, certainly there's some elements that you can tell is more 3D animation, or a prop in the background is virtually created than obviously a real component. But I will say overall, I feel like it does a really great job of recreating these tables, but also including additional fan-made tables from scratch where the physics function correctly. And often they look incredibly realistic. It's hard to sometimes remember that you're playing a virtual pinball machine versus a real pinball machine. And so when it comes to, does the unit feel real? As I mentioned earlier, I feel like for most people, unless you're a hardcore, pinball connoisseur, it's probably going to feel anywhere from 95 to 99% real for most people. And with all the other benefits that come with having a virtual pinball table versus a real physical table, I think that's more than close enough for me and probably for most people as well. Now, another thing that I wanted to cover was more of the setup and process of actually getting your unit. And so we'll switch to basically what it looks like when you get the unit delivered. Now, when I ordered the unit, I did have the option of paying extra if I chose to have it actually delivered into my garage. But also I was basically told that if it was a simple driveway, flat, easy to get into the garage, they'd be more than willing to do that without that extra fee. And so that was the option I went with. And again, the delivery people were able to put the unit itself in the crate in the garage for me. And so as you can see, it is brought in a giant crate. So you'll need to uncrate this. And the process for me as well is that I needed to check over the unit, make sure everything was okay. There wasn't any damage or anything like that. Everything was there. So I needed to do that as well while the driver was still there. And for whatever reason, if there is any issues, there is step-by-step instructions on what to do in that scenario that was provided to me by the company. So that was really cool. I didn't need it by any means, but just in case, they had that aspect there as well, which was really awesome. Now, I will say this unit is extremely heavy. It is listed on the site that the unit all boxed up in the crate is over 400 pounds, which is pretty crazy, but it actually does come detached, this top section and this bottom section here. And so depending on the size of your doorways and maybe where you want to put the unit, you might actually need to take this top aspect off of the unit And that was what I needed to do. So I had to detach the backer box here from the base bottom unit in order to bring it down into my basement, into the house, to fit through all the doorways. And the cool thing is that the site gives you step-by-step instructions exactly how to do this, so that was really helpful. It also gives you the exact height and dimensions of the machine, so you know if it can fit wherever you're planning to put it. I will also say that the movers slash delivery people do not bring it all the way into your home. Again, they just placed it in my garage, and it was up to me to find a way to actually bring this unit inside. And so definitely plan for that. It's extremely heavy, as I mentioned. This top part, I think, was around 80 pounds once I took that off. So we were able to get that in. But the bottom part is still over 200 pounds. So it's pretty intense to bring into your home. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, it does come without the legs assembled on it. And so you'll need to actually do that as well. And so kind of the process when I brought it inside was bringing this top part down. Me and another buddy were able to bring this bottom section down. And from there, I needed to reassemble the top backer box to the main unit here, and then install the legs, and then place it where I wanted it. So it is a couple hour ordeal to get it inside, to assemble everything, and get it up and running. But again, once it is in your home and all put together, it's a pretty quick process to start playing. Basically just flipping the switch, and then you're good to go, which is really cool. Now, you might be wondering what is actually included with this system. So there's a whole lot to it, but I'll kind of show you some of the basic overview here. So you have the option of setting up a bunch of different favorites, and there is the option to kind of scroll through a bunch of different games here as well. So it has specific VPin workshop tables, so there's kind of different categories that you can cycle through and choose from. It has a jukebox, which is just playing different music, and it utilizes the TV here. Now you also have different categories which can help you sort through the games more effectively. So you have things like recently played, your most played, the random feature, which is pretty cool, just selects random tables from all of them on the different categories, and then you'll be able to choose them as well. My girlfriend and I use this a lot. We kind of do mini tournaments where we'll pick random games and play the best of 5, best of 10, different things like that, which is pretty fun. You've got Visual Pinball X tables, Pinball FX3, Pinball FX2, Zakaria, future pinball tables, manufacturers, so it sorts them basically by category, so Sega, Capcom, etc. It's got pup packs, full DMD tables, non-flipper tables, some adult-only tables, different playlists, which is pretty nice. And so this will categorize them as things like kids tables, tables from the 90s, 80s, 70s, etc. You've got TV tables, sports, sci-fi, racing, original tables, kind of community-created tables, music-themed movies, horror, holidays, and much more. It's got some MAME tables, which are actually arcade games built in MAME. Also, we've got the list from A to Z, so if you're looking for a specific table, you can certainly find that by scrolling through and finding it alphabetically. So again, let's just say, go into my favorite table here. We want to find Ghostbusters, so I can scroll through all the G tables and then find that here. So here we go. And then again, if I wanted to upload that and start playing, I can just hit the start button and I'll bring that table up. Kind of testing the waters here, make sure everything is working functionally properly. And then again, you can simply start the unit. I can add coins if I want, and then just start the game, and then it will boot it up. So now I've got the ball here, and then it's functioning. I can start choosing the scene, various things like that. And so as I mentioned, this is a huge collection of games. There's thousands on this unit of different pinball tables to choose from. So just really cool to be able to cycle through them and try them all. All right, so now I wanted to dive a bit more into the unit itself, what's inside, and show you some of the different features the unit has. So again, we've got all kinds of different face buttons here. We've got start button, coin door, extra ball door. We've got coin doors here with some programmable buttons on the front that you can customize, launch button, exit button, and again, the plunger here that you can pull out. Each side has the 2 buttons as well. And we've got the air fan here, which is really cool. Some of the games will play that. I also got some of the additional items here, upgrades of the cup holders, which is super convenient. Big fan of that. Let's actually dive under the unit. So you can see this is like the power button, which is nice. You can just turn the unit on. From the front there, we've got the volume dial. You can also click that in and just simply mute the unit, which is really nice. We can check out the bottom here. We've got several different USB ports and USB-C ports, which is nice. Again, I've got the little wireless keyboard that comes with the unit here. Now there's also some different switches here on the bottom that you can turn on and off, so it's pretty convenient if you wanted to turn things off quickly. So if you wanted to turn off the tilt feature or the flashers, things like the LED strips, the fan and rumble, there's just a quick access panel right here under the unit as well that you can turn off and on quickly. Again, we've got some different openings for fan, speaker here in the back. We've got the LED lighting all up on the sides here. I'll turn this on in a second so you can see what that's like. Let's jump to the back here. All right, so I've got the back set up. I've got my lights so you can see it a bit better here. But another thing that's pretty cool is it's got these different on-off switches. And so depending on what elements you might want to have on while you're playing, this is really nice. So if you wanted to turn off LEDs or knockers, maybe play it a little bit quiet, people are in bed, various things like that, that's pretty cool. We've got the back here. We've got a second on-off switch here in the back as well. Some different fans to help keep the unit cool. But let's jump into the top section here. Again, a little bit of a cramped space, but again, we've got the screen here, the hookups of the different monitors, speakers set up. Again, if you needed to turn some of these elements off, those are right there. There's also some videos if you need to take off this back section that walks you through that step by step, which is really nice. But you have full access here on the back. Again, you can just lock that, which is great. Again, all the keyholes are really universal for each one. So let's try and open up this back here. You can see some of the components. So again, we've got components right here on the back, access to the PC as well. So again, if you are technical, you could maybe come in and mess around with some of this. I am certainly not technical to that extent, but what's again really nice, all these things are labeled here. So if you did need to move things around or switch things up, everything's labeled, which is super great. I know when I had to take off the topper to get in the basement, that was all set up there as well. Okay, let's see if I can get a little bit more light in here. This thing can also slide out, so you can pull this out. I'm not going to do it right now, but you can do that to access some of these components here as well. Again, there's even more outputs if you're looking to hook stuff up to the TV that's in the back. But again, I'm not going to mess with any of this right now, but just so you can see all the different elements available, which is really cool. Also, we'll do a deep dive in here, but you can see some of the wiring of the coin door. So if you wanted to, you could set this up to accept coins to play for real. I've got it just set on free play, but that is an option. We've also got a few more buttons in here, which is cool. There's a power and a reset button. So again, makes the shutdown process or restarting the process of the unit a little bit easier here as well. Again, I'll open up the insides here in a sec, but you do have access to some of the features right here as well. There's also this little handle here. This can pop off this top section right here. So if you did need to adjust that at all, that's really the first step to getting this open. Again, I'm just powering on the unit here so you can see what that's like. Again, starts to load up the different screens. Get that rolling. Takes a minute. But really just powering everything up from the speakers to the LEDs, everything like that. Again, the load up process is quite quick. So we've got all the buttons working now. Speakers are getting set up. All the screens. Doing some basic tests here. All right. So you can see everything's powering up now.
Now, let's play some pinball.
All right, so we're all set up. So again, you can see the LED lights underneath are all up and going, which is awesome. Got the back LED lights as well. So just really cool elements. But let's jump inside here and show you the inside. All right, so we've got the unit off now, and we'll walk through the process of showing you the inside of the unit and how you can access the internal components. So first step, again, pop open this initial bar. So we want to take that off. Make sure that's in a safe spot. Again, you can also take off this little screw here. There's a couple of them, but this will hold on this metal piece, which holds up the glass. So be careful with this. Once you take off both screws, it can come loose, as you'll see here. Also make sure you put these in a safe spot. I'm just going to throw them right here inside the coin door. And again, I want to take this off very carefully because that glass is custom built for the unit. You just want to make sure that that stays on. Now from here, we'll want to take off these side rails, which are holding up the glass. I'll just throw these screws in my cup holders on each side as to not lose them. Again, carefully take this out as to not scratch the glass. Just leave it on this side so I can remember which side is which. And a nice feature of this is there's tutorials how to do all these steps just to make sure you keep your unit safe and intact. So again, I'll place this one on the ground. All right, so now comes removal of the glass. And so we've got, you just simply lift this up slightly and don't pull too hard, as it can potentially break the glass, but slide that out so it comes from underneath the metal on the top here. And again, this is quite heavy, so you might want to do this with a partner, or again, just be incredibly careful with this. So I'm going to take off my mic so I can set this down. All right, so we now got the TV available, and this can actually just simply tilt up, and there's little support bars. You'll just want to slide in these slots right here. And now the TV is supported and you have access to all of the internal controls. So I'm not going to pretend like I know what everything is here, but we've got things like solenoids, which fire as you're playing the unit, making it feel like the ball is bouncing around. And you can also feel when the flippers are being used. We've got like a shaker motor, which makes it feel super realistic. It has a real tilt bob, which is super cool. So when you hit the unit, it actually feels that you're tilting the table and moving the ball around, and so it functions accordingly. Again, you've got things like access to the subwoofer and amplifiers, various things like that. Internal volume controls. So again, very complex system, but one of the things I really liked is that it showcases how to swap any of these things out if you should have errors. Actually, for me, this solenoid ended up giving out after about a month of having the unit, but the good news is they actually included a couple of these solenoids with the unit when I ordered, so I just simply needed to swap this out. Very easy. Take out some of the screws here and just put the wires back on where they were, and the unit was good to go. Again, if you need to make adjustments to the flippers or tighten them or anything like that, that's all accessible here. So again, just really cool to be able to see how advanced the internal controls are, making this feel like a totally real pinball experience. I'm no expert on the internal components, so I'm actually going to hop over to the website itself where they lay out exactly what components are included here on the inside of the unit, so you can get a better idea on the specifics of that as well. All right, so here we are on the website, and just wanted to walk you through basically the specs of the unit. So again, I got the OLED edition here. So it comes with this LG C4 OLED TV, and it has the 3 different monitors like you've seen, which highlight other aspects of the machine. It has the properly slanted play field, which again is really cool. It makes it feel like a real pinball table. It's not just a flat screen. It has the full-size cabinet, which again is just another element that makes it feel like a real table. It has the edge-to-edge bezel, another aspect that makes it feel like a real pinball unit. It has the full AccuFeel force feedback enabled, which consists of those 8 solenoids, 2 contractors, shaker motor, gear motor, and knocker. It has digital nudging, analog plunger, the removable plunger knob, so you can switch out different knob types if you want. That physical tilt bob like I showed you, the physical knocker. It has the game-controlled RGB LED flashers and strobes, the game-controlled light switch, the different police beacons and toppers, which is an optional thing. I'll cover that more in the additional accessories that you can get with the unit. 7.1 surround sound, 2 hi-fi speakers, an 8-inch subwoofer, 4 full sound spectrum transducer speakers, 2 bass kickers, 3 amplifiers, a master volume knob, which I showcase under the cabinet, the lock bar LED fire button, the integrated air fan, programmable mini buttons on the coin doors, and the color adjustable LED flipper buttons. You can see the different computer specs here, like the CPU, RAM, graphics card, power supply, motherboard, and more. We've also got the upgrades for the 8.0 model. You can also see some of these other options that you get included, and I'll also go through some of these aspects in the accessories as well. So talking about some of the different accessories that you can get with this and some of the different upgrades available, there's quite a few different options that you can choose from. So one that I already highlighted was the cup holders. So that was an extra thing that I ordered separately with the unit. Again, you can see that I've got the full-on Ghostbusters wrap for the unit. You are able to pick artwork for the unit, but depending on the wrap that you might get, if it hasn't been done before, there might be potential upcharges for that. Or again, there was options where I could get custom plungers. It does come with 2 different ones here. When you order the base unit, I was fine with that, but I did have the option to get some custom Ghostbuster themed one if I wanted, but I decided I would just stick with the standard plunger for now. Now, another optional accessory are these siren lights at the top. You do have different choices. There's tall ones, there's red ones, there's blue ones. I ended up going with the green ones. I also went with the short lights here as well, only because I wasn't exactly sure how tall my ceiling might be or where I might move this unit in the future. So I decided to opt in for the shorter lights, but you do have options to get taller lights as well. There's also the top screen here, which was an optional feature. Again, it has kind of strobe lights here at the top, and then depending on what game you might be playing, it can play little video clips related to whatever machine you might be playing, which is really cool. Again, I wasn't sure about this, mostly only because of the height and having it actually fit in my basement. And since it is removable, if my ceiling was too low, I could have taken this off. Thankfully it did fit, but that's another option. I figured I might as well have it in case I ever move it in the future and the ceiling height wasn't an issue. But that's another optional accessory that you can get or add on to the unit. Now there is another option. I did not decide to get this one, but there is an LED strip option that they do have here that actually syncs with sound, which is kind of cool, but not really a feature I was too interested in, but that is another option. So it can actually sync up with the music that's playing or even you talking in the room. So if you did like that option, that's another feature as well. Now another cool feature is it does come with these 3D glasses. And so there actually is a feature on the unit where you can turn on 3D. It's more of the red and blue 3D though. It definitely was a cool effect. I'm not sure I want to play like that long term though, but it does have that 3D option included with the unit and the glasses as well. And so that's just another extra layer and cool accessory that you get with the unit as well. Another thing the unit comes with is these wrap protectors. So you can actually put these on over the buttons here to help protect the artwork. I haven't decided to put those on yet. I might do that in the future. It does require you to screw in a couple different additional holes. So I'm not sure I want to do that at this point yet, but these are available to add another layer of protection around where you're constantly touching with the buttons. It also came with some different circuit replacements. So these are available in case any of these switches go bad as you're playing the unit. So you've got some spare ones here, which is nice. As I mentioned when I was opening up the unit, it does come with a couple of extra solenoids. So if one of them does go bad, you are able to replace that, and they give you a couple on hand. This is definitely nice as one of mine did end up going out after about a month of using the unit. So I was definitely grateful to have some extra ones of these and still have one on hand as well. Another optional accessory you can get is an additional hard drive for the unit, just in case anything ever happened to the main hard drive. I did opt in to get that, and when I did that, I also got this hard drive docking station, which actually allows you to clone hard drives. And so this is just another cool addition that I decided to get with the unit, just so I had a backup hard drive in case anything ever went wrong with the original one, or if I ever wanted to mess with a hard drive to add more games or anything like that, I'd always have that backup one that I could restore to if there were ever any issues. The unit also comes with a wireless keyboard, which is really nice if you ever want to get in on the back end of things, get out to the desktop, make any tweaks to the system, troubleshoot anything. This is really convenient. It's a wireless keyboard, so you can just plug the dongle in the unit on the bottom USB ports, and then you're good to go to use this mouse and keyboard as well. Again, I got the OLED TV version with the superior screen, and so this is just the LG remote for the TV if I ever needed to use that as well. Now, another cool thing that I really appreciate and like about this system is the fact that there's ongoing support. So there's a huge section on the website that you'll get access to once you order of different how-to guides and videos, things like taking the unit apart, replacing parts, really any kind of troubleshooting thing that you could think of. It all walks you through that step by step, which is incredibly helpful, and I was a huge fan of that as well. Now, some other support things that I really like is that the team was very responsive. So anytime I had questions or even throughout the order process, they were right there to answer any questions that I had. And so that was really awesome and helpful and really made my buying experience a lot easier. And so some of the key differences that I think between this unit and maybe other virtual pinball machines that you might be able to get out there are, one, the support, which I mentioned with the different how-to videos, tutorials, different guides available, various support options, long-term support packages that you can sign up for as well. I thought that was a really cool feature that I think a lot of virtual pinball machines don't necessarily offer. And so that definitely stood out to me. Another major thing that really stood out to me was the overall quality of the unit. Just the components are there, the phenomenal screen, the sound quality, the options of various switches around the unit that you can turn different aspects on and off, make it incredibly convenient and very user friendly. And so again, I think if you're looking at this virtual pinball cabinet, maybe versus others out there, the quality of the build and the components is definitely here with this unit, and I was really impressed with that. Another big thing that I really liked about this was the overall shipping experience and the turnaround time to actually get my unit. I've looked at various companies online selling these virtual pinball cabinets, and many of them have a 6-month turnaround time or even longer, which is pretty crazy. What was really cool about this is that I ordered it, and from the time I ordered the unit to actually getting delivered at my door was under 60 days, which was pretty crazy. And I didn't pay for any kind of expedited shipping or anything like that. And so I was really impressed with that, to be able to order a unit of this quality and have it already get to my home in that kind of time frame, when many of the competitors in the industry, as I mentioned, are often 6 months or longer before you can actually get a unit. And so again, that was a really great experience as well. I mentioned this before as well, but the communication was another big selling point for me. A lot of these companies are in different countries. I'm in the US. It made communication a lot easier. I was able to hop on the phone with people on the team to get my questions answered. And so that was really cool as well. Where some other different companies that I had reached out to learn more about the unit or ask questions, never even got a response from. And so I would say the communication is definitely a plus with this as well. Another big feature that I like is the different customization options that you can have available. I mentioned some of them in the accessories section, but again, you can get custom images on the wrap of your unit. You can get different plungers if you want. There's all kinds of different upgrades and accessories you can choose to include or not. And I felt like that was really cool to really be able to make your unit your own to fit whatever theme you want. Again, as I mentioned, I went with this Ghostbusters theme, and so that was really cool to be able to do that as well. But overall, I've had this unit for a few months now, and I really enjoy it. I was really impressed with the overall quality of the unit. Now, one thing that really stood out to me after having the unit for a few months at this point is just the replay value overall of the unit. It's really solid. I'd often find myself playing maybe one game for like 15-20 minutes and would want to switch to a different game. I wouldn't necessarily say that I was bored, but just having that option to be able to switch to different games is huge. I think that's maybe one downside when you're looking at a general pinball machine that's a one specific unit. That's kind of all you have. And while that can be really fun and awesome, having the ability to switch between different games really up the replay value of this unit. I also like the convenience of the different categories on the machine to play different ones that I like best or try different genres. So you have the option to favorite things. You can play games from the 90s. You can play retro games. You can play really retro games from the 50s and 60s. There's different collection types like movie games and much more. And so I really like that aspect to it. Again, adding to the replay value. I also like the random feature. I think that helps add to the replay value as well. Often me and my girlfriend would choose random tables and play the best out of 4, best out of 5, various things like that. And so it's cool to have that option to be able to play like that as well. Another area I wanted to highlight on was just the general price to value. Now, this is a pretty expensive unit in the scheme of things, but at the same time, if you're looking for a premium mechanical pinball machine, you're often going to look at the same price range, if not more. And so while it might seem a little bit expensive for the general price of something like this, I think in comparison to getting a mechanical unit, or again, even other virtual pinball machines out there, you're gonna get premium quality with this, ongoing support. The replay value is huge. And again, this costs around the price of a premium mechanical pinball unit, and that's just one game. And so the fact that you get thousands of games on this unit just really stood out to me, and I feel like the value is really there. And as someone that's maybe not a pinball connoisseur, I can barely notice the difference between a mechanical pinball machine and this. It feels almost the same. Often I feel like I'm forgetting that I'm playing virtual pinball. The fun level is still there. And so to be able to get thousands of games for the price of basically one high quality unit is phenomenal. And so I think the price to value is really there on this unit compared to getting a standalone mechanical unit. Another added value, or I think that makes it even better, is the fact that you can have software updates to this as well. And so the base unit is using a virtual pinball software that allows you to play these different games. And over time, they release newer versions of this as well. And so this 8.0 model right now, as I mentioned, has about 1,500 games on it, all kinds of different tables and much more. And so the fact that they're going to be releasing software updates in the future with even more games and newer tables added is just another cool benefit that adds even more value to the unit. Again, I can only imagine how much it would cost to buy a couple hundred new pinball machines. Not only that, but the space that would take up and more. And so every time there's a new update like this, there's often hundreds of additional tables added. And so that's just another great value to having a virtual pinball machine versus a physical pinball machine. Another element that I thought was really awesome is just the repairability factor of a unit like this. Again, I don't have any other pinball machines myself, but I know a downside potentially of mechanical pinball machines is that you need to get specific parts to repair them. And depending on the machine, those might be hard to come by. Plus, if you don't have that technical skill yourself, finding someone and hiring a company to actually come out and repair your machine is just another challenge and hassle you might encounter in the future. But what's again really cool about having a virtual pinball machine like this is that most of the components are computer related. And so those can be upgraded, you can swap those out. Certainly there's internal components that you can swap out, which create that realistic feel. But again, I feel like those are a lot more common and more accessible than individual components that you might need to find on a specific pinball machine of a mechanical unit that might be broken or having issues. And so I think the repairability factor is just so much easier and likely more cost effective to do if you had issues in the future, that having a virtual pinball machine like this just makes a lot of sense when you're looking at the long-term potential maintenance of a unit like this. Again, along with that concept is the idea that you maybe don't need to be a tech expert to be able to play and even potentially fix small issues on a unit like this. Again, I'm pretty nerdy, but I don't know a ton about repairing computers or pinball machines or anything like that. But again, the one small issue I had of the single solenoid going out, as I mentioned, I had all these different tutorial videos and walkthroughs walking me through how to open the unit, how to get to the solenoid, how to troubleshoot to find out that that was the issue. And so I think if you can follow along with basic instructions, those tutorials are available and it's not too difficult to figure out. So for someone that's not super tech savvy in the computer building pinball machine world, to be able to figure out stuff like that was really cool. And so I think that that's probably a bit more user friendly if you're not super techie compared to a mechanical pinball machine, trying to figure out how those different parts work and various things like that. And so I think that's another advantage to having a virtual pinball machine compared to more of a manual physical pinball machine as well. But overall, I'm a huge fan of this Ultra VP virtual pinball machine. I'm glad I got the 8.0 OLED edition. The screen looks phenomenal. It plays like it's a lifelike real mechanical pinball machine. Plus the awesome support and replay value of the unit is phenomenal. And I think the price to value ratio is definitely there as well. And so I'm super happy that I picked up this unit and I'm excited to continue to enjoy this for years to come. But again, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this unit and virtual pinball itself. Have you played a virtual pinball machine before? Do you think it stacks up to mechanical pinball machines? Which one do you think is better? Now that you've seen this unit, does it look like something you'd want to pick up in the future? Do you have any other questions that maybe we missed? Are there any pinball games I should feature on the channel in future videos that you want to check out and see played? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And again, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And another really cool way you can help support the channel is we actually partnered with RecRoomWorld.com, the company that makes these virtual pinball machines. And they were willing to give our viewers an exclusive discount if they decided to order one of these Ultra VP virtual pinball machines. So if you did want to pick up one of these, you can actually head to nerdproblemsgaming.com/virtual pinball machine and simply enter Nerd Problems Gaming in the referred by section on the checkout process, and you'll get a great $100 discount on your order of the Ultra VP pinball machine. So again, if you did want to get one of these units for yourself and take advantage of that great discount, be sure to head there as well, and we'll have a link in the description below this video where you can check out more details on the unit and place your order as well. And again, if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.